mostly you just exploring every area. Are you getting all 3 hours? You've got like 3 hours. Oh, I thought you said you were chasing the key. Oh, yeah, it probably was something. Right, you should record seasons. You should record seasons with Ari, because he's the only one who sounds good.
Are you playing traveling music?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Good morning. Look around. If you see someone you don't know, tell them Happy Mother's Day and Happy Sunday. So thank you for being here. Let me kind of tell you what's going to happen today, because once we start, things are just going to sort of move. Mother's Day can be a tough time for people who maybe you've lost your mother, or maybe you're estranged from your mother, or maybe you lost a child, or maybe you would love to have a child and haven't been able to. Or maybe you've chosen not to have children and people keep asking you, when are you going to have some babies? And you're like, not coming. Those are tough things. So with that in mind, we want to celebrate mothers, but we also want to celebrate with dignity and help those who may find this to be a more challenging day. So in a few minutes, as soon as I finish, we're going to hear from Amy Etchison, who will perform a song called Seasons. Amy is Caleb's mom. And Amy has other children here, if they will wave. Yes, yes. And Amy's husband is one of my dearest friends in the world. He is pastor at Malo United Methodist. So she gets double credit today, Methodist and Baptist. So that's pretty good. After the invocation, after that song, we'll have an invocation, a prayer invocation, and I think our Amy Avery is going to deliver that. And then you will hear a spoken word tribute by Jonam Larson, from whose grandparents are in the sound booth up there and on the front row, and his parents are here. So they're not a bit proud of their grandson. I know they're not. Then we'll sing together. After that, and I won't introduce all these people as they go, after that, you'll hear from Kamal Sharp, right there, who has been playing saxophone, you said 15 years? A little over 10, and he's only about 14. No, he just graduated from UNC Asheville, right? And beside him is my grandson, and he is old enough to know better. And he's gonna assist. They're gonna play a special song for mothers. After that, I will introduce our panelists. We have four panelists with us today. I'll tell you about those in a few minutes. And we're going to talk to them about Mother's Day. Then after that one, the big build-up, Caleb and Amy, mother and son, will play a duet using the same keyboard, right? Yeah, so wow. You're going to see Grace, the future president of the United States, taking, if she's willing to settle for that job, taking photos throughout the day, and she's helping us with that. And in the narthex, as you leave, there will be refreshments. There are flowers. If your mother is living, you are invited to take a red rose. If your mother has passed, you're invited to take a white rose. Also in the narthex are CDs that Amy has made available free of charge to take. So you're welcome to take those. And all the music on it is original. Amy wrote and performs it all on that CD. And then also in the narthex, we have folks from Seven Homes Foster Care Agency. They train and educate and equip foster parents. And if you look in your order of service today, you will see that in DSS foster care, there are 412 children, and there are 66 licensed homes through DSS. Now, there are some others licensed through agencies, but the bulk are through DSS. And also, my friend Pat Erickson will share this morning a prayer blessing over our homes and our mothers, and you will see in your order of service that her prayer comes from the very depths of her heart, for she and her husband Ted and their family lost their son to insulin shock death when he was 27. So she will pray a very special prayer. I'm excited about her being with us. So that is the order of things. I'm going to step aside and kind of direct things from the floor there, and we will be called to worship by a performance of Seasons.
Good morning. I have to put on my eyes. Not as young as I used to be. Thank you for having me here today. I'm so delighted to get to share. I wrote this song 7 years ago, I believe, and the kids that Joshua here on the guitar and Caleb, you guys know Caleb, they played for the first initial playing of this. Caleb said he wanted me to play today, but they were 15 and 16 at the time. And so the four that sang it with me, because we had the little kids' verses split up, were 11, 9, 7, and 5. So we have 6 kids. So they're not that age anymore. And so the cute little verses, I have bribed them to come and sing today. I didn't get my youngest one, and I didn't get my next step because they're now 12, 14, 16, and 18. But so they're going to sing, and so the verses are kind of beneath them. I think you'll see that, but it's still cute. They're still my kids, and we still did all this for sure. I think that the way I wrote this song is that I put it out on Facebook, and I said, hey, I want to write a Mother's Day song. Give me some ideas. And so it's a 4-verse song, so it's kind of long, but it just used all kind of ideas that people gave me on Facebook of things that they said to their mom or their mom said to them or things that, and so I hope that you will enjoy this. And I am sorry this song is not on the CD. I actually have never published this song, so maybe one day. So without further ado, thank you guys for doing this for me. 10 fingers, 10 toes, and she's got your nose, a little crooked smile, and a whole new lifestyle. Sleepless nights and long days in a bone-weary haze turn to crawling and walking and talking and talking. Mommy, why is the grass green? Why do we go to church? Why do birds fly and bees sing? Mommy, why? Why do I have to eat veggies? Why do I have to do chores? Why do I have to do homework? Wash the clothes that I wear? Why is it a big deal that all the cookies are gone? I promise you, Mom, I didn't eat them alone. When I'm grown up, can I live here with you? Or build my house in the backyard? Sure that will do. Seasons come and seasons go. Just how many we never know. For today we have this time together. Can see what's around the bend, and this moment will never come again. So let's just take the time to be together. So rise and shine, and please make your bed. Well, one day you'll understand. Don't make me tell you again. Well, you know I have eyes in the back of my head. Hey, don't make me come over there and remind me what I just said. Are we there yet, Mom? Is it snack time yet? It just follow me. Can we please keep it? We'll do our chores every day, but our toys all the way. Can we keep it, Mom? Seasons come and seasons go. Just how many we never know. But for today we have this time together. can see what's around the bend, and this moment will never come again. So let's just take the time to be together. You know I don't sleep a wink until you're home safe at night. Please do the right thing, and it'll be all right. And I promise midnight is a decent curfew. And if all your friends jumped off a building, would you? Well, I love you more than all the stars in the sky. To the moon and back. You are the love of my life. Even when you don't listen and I have to be firm, if you'll just trust me, I promise you'll learn. The seasons come and seasons go, just how many we never know. For today we have this time together. Can see what's around the bend, and this moment will never come again. So let's just take the time to be together. The years have come and gone. The house is quiet and still. Pictures of memories line the windowsill. I take my mom by the hand, wipe the tears from her eyes. She misses the others as they're living their lives. And I tell her that she is not a burden to me, and that I'm just re-giving all she's given to me. Seasons come and seasons go, just how many we never know. Before the day we have this time together. Let's just take the time to be together. Yeah, let's just take the time to be together.
Thank you so much, family. That was lovely. It really illustrates the complexities and the love and change of a mother's life. And welcome, church. Glad to see you here. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we gather here this morning in awe of your majesty. We recognize that you alone reign. Thank you for bringing us together here today to worship you, and in particular to thank you for the gift of mothers in the family and in society. We offer praise that by following your guidance and wisdom, women have a special role to offer motherly wisdom, motherly leadership, motherly strength, instruction in your word, and motherly love. And God, how wonderfully you are honored when this motherly love extends to every person in a community. At this hour, we ask that our hearts and minds and actions are centered on you, your love for us, and your awesome gift of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Set that for you. There you go.
Thank God for a mother's love. There's no love like a mother's love, no stronger bond on earth, like the precious bond that comes from God to a mother when she gives birth. A mother's love is forever strong, never changing for all time. And when her children need her most, a mother's love will shine. God bless these special mothers. God bless them, everyone, for all the tears and heartache and for the special work they've done. When her days on earth are over, a mother's love lives on through many generations with God blessings on each one. Be thankful for our mothers, for they love with higher love, from the power God has given and the strength them from above. Anonymous.
Would you please rise and join us in singing a congregational song, Blessed Be the Tie That Binds, number 387.
So some ministers are well known for their oratory, some for their depth of knowledge. I'm known for bringing Stevie Wonder to the Baptist church. So what a great job. Someone thought ahead because we have Kleenex here and I have needed them already. I didn't know Amy was going to make me cry, but she did. So let me introduce our panelists who will talk with us this morning. We'll just have a conversation. Kanika Drakeford is here. Kanika has worked with DSS for 15 years, I think. Is that right? But you've worked with foster children for 15 years. I knew I had part of it right. So I would like to invite her to the platform. She is not in your program because we just were able to finalize getting her here last night. And she brings a special angle to this because she's worked with foster families for so long. One of our other panelists is Leaf Mullins from here in our own congregation. Leaf brings a unique perspective. They've chosen not to have children biologically, and that can put you in an odd spot sometimes when you go home for Thanksgiving and you get those questions. In other ways, Leaf is somewhat distanced from their own mother. So Leaf, I invite you to the platform. I look forward to hearing some of your unique perspective on Mother's Day as we celebrate today and learn. Then also with us is Kelly Sarah. Kelly is just a colleague and a friend, a dear colleague and a friend who works professionally giving her life to social service needs. And we met and worked together on projects for close to 2 years before I ever saw her face to face. She's just that kind of person. She gets things done. And she brings a unique perspective. She is a single mother and a nana. Is that what they call you? A nana of 2, soon to be 3. And she also maybe we'll share a little bit about some folks who came into her life after the death of a parent, and she helped get them through college and get into life and in successful places. So Kelly, join us and please take your seat. Our last panelist is Amy. And Amy, you've heard from and you've met. Amy has, how many children do you have, Amy? 6, 7, counting, you have 6 here and 7 total? Yes. 8 total. Because as Amy said, she has a child in heaven. At 8 months old, as Mark shared it with me, before I knew them, the child passed away. So obviously, she's going to bring a perspective to things that others may not think about sometimes, or maybe we don't want to think about. So tell me this, anybody, what is special to you about Mother's Day? What makes Mother's Day so special to you? Anybody? And you got a microphone there, you can share it, just pass it around. Kelly's like, oh, I'm going to give this to somebody. So, yeah.
I would say that I'm blessed enough to still have my mom and both of my grandmothers. Also, in the capacity I'm in at DSS, a lot of mothers are celebrating, a lot of women are celebrating Mother's Day for the first time because they became foster parents.
Yeah. So you have foster parents that you're working with who today may be the first time they've been able to celebrate as in a mother's role.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Talk a little bit, just to piggyback on that, about the challenges that foster mothers and fathers can have where people don't feel like you're a real parent. How does that play out, and how might it affect a Mother's Day?
It's very important. I woke up this morning to probably about 20 text messages for allowing them to be able to celebrate Mother's Day today for the first time. There are a lot of mothers, women here in Gaston County that struggle to give birth naturally. I let people know that a child doesn't have to look like you for you to be a parent, whether it's a mother or a father, and families don't have to match. But it is hard because you have a lot of biological parents that are angry that their child is in our custody, and they let the foster parents know repeatedly, you're not their mom or dad. But to a lot of these kids that have been with them since they're 3 days old and have not been reunified with their families, that's all they know as mom and dad.
Yeah. In the foster care situation, you're going to hear more about this in the narthex as you have the refreshments and see a multimedia presentation afterward. We have almost 500 children in foster care and very young adults. We only have, through our Department of Social Services, fewer than 70 approved foster homes. But there's a lot more you can do as a foster parent than just take a child indefinitely. You can provide respite care. Sometimes we provide respite care for Rex and Victoria, our children and children-in-law who are fostering, just to give them a break. But of course, to do that to someone that's not related, you have to go through an approval process. And there are 7 homes will be able to tell you about that. Tell me this, somebody in the group, what has made or can make Mother's Day a challenge for you? What could that be? What has that been? Anything?
For me, it is, I'm not close to my mother, so having, I guess, an estranged parent who is now disabled, it can be difficult, just dealing with that and people not knowing the backstory and saying, why aren't you close to your mom, or you need to reconcile, all that kind of stuff. It can be frustrating because you don't want to push your business out there to strangers or to everybody that you know. So you just kind of have to smile and hold that in. So that, for me, for Mother's Day is difficult. And then my grandmother, who in my heart was the mother role model, she's passed away. And time takes away the emotional outpouring of that grief, but it never really truly goes away in your heart. You're always going to miss that person. So I deal with that as well.
And if there's an estranged parent, you might not miss the person's behavior, but you grieve the relationship, don't you?
That is true.
Right, right.
And it's always a conscience, or it's always in my mind to make sure I make the effort to not have the unfavorable habits that my mother had, because I don't want to have that projected onto my children.
Yeah.
So that as well.
Yeah. What other things might make Mother's Day challenging? I see you have the microphone.
Mother's Day can be especially challenging if you had a difficult relationship with your mother growing up, and my mom and I were not always as close as we are now. We are close now because she recently apologized for the neglect and the abuse in my childhood, but it's still hard some years to think about all of the times I just wanted my mom, especially on Mother's Day.
Yeah. Those who've maybe not had that healthy, traditional mother-daughter, mother-child relationship, Kelly mentioned a grandparent who has stepped in and been a motherly role model for you. Anybody?
My grandmother was a big part of my life. We also had a difficult relationship for a long time, but she was the one who stepped in the most in my life to help take care of me where my mother failed.
Yeah. And Kanika, the children that you see, the ultimate goal is always to reconcile with the family. Do you have any idea, any of the percentages on how often and frequently that happens? Do you have even a ballpark figure?
The state of North Carolina wants us to be at 41%, but here in Gaston County, the reunification rate is 11%.
So the standard, as it were, is 41%.
That's
We're
where
at
the state
11.
would want us to be.
Without getting too far into the weeds, how much do you feel mental health and substance use disorder play into that?
100%.
100%.
Because of the meth problem here in Gaston County, and now other opiates that are being distributed along the street, a lot of parents are not able to work their plans.
Right.
So therefore, actually our adoption rate is a lot higher than the reunification rate.
Among your clientele, not
Among the
on-
children here
among
in
the
Gaston
children.
County.
Okay, I see.
Just period, because
Yeah.
even if they're placed in with private agency homes,
Right.
we still account for them because they're in our care.
Okay, so, okay. And I'm not going to ask Kanika to verify this number because I didn't tell her I was going to, but I was told by someone, one of her supervisors at DSS, that we have more children in foster care than does Mecklenburg County. That's an astounding number considering the population difference, and I just learned that planning for this service. So Amy, I'm going to throw it to you and ask you, because there are families here who have lost children. What's Mother's Day like? You have wonderful children, but you're missing that child. What's that like?
Well, I know to start with, it should have been hard, but God was so good. And there was always a sense of joy, but there is, not Mother's Day specifically, but they're, just missing the person in the spot. If you look at my kids, they're 23, 22, and then there's a gap. And then they're 18, 16, 14, and 12. And so he would have been 20. So, he's always a part of us.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but you move on and you just celebrate the good gifts that God has given you, and you remember, you never forget. We have pictures of them all over the house.
Yeah.
And the kids you saw up here, well, Joshua and Caleb were 4 and 2 when Micah passed away. But the other children weren't even here yet, so.
Which that brings a question that someone asked me to make sure we get on the table. How do you treat that person who's physically not there? They've passed. Do you talk about them in terms of this was your brother, this was your sister, this was your uncle, whatever? Or is it a sacred thing that you don't really talk about except on special occasions? How has your family handled that?
We talk about him anytime he crosses our minds. Oftentimes, in my experience, not me personally, but I've watched other people, when the big days come around, their birthday, their death day, they get really solemn and sad. But for us, it has been the other way around. We've always celebrated. We would have a birthday party for him the day he died. Now, we've gotten really busy in the last few years. But last year, my kids took something to the cemetery without me and Mark. We were busy, and it was so precious for them to go put something on his grave. I don't remember if it was for his birthday or for his death day, but the older 2 boys got it together, and they just went out there. And so he is forever a part of us, because this life is not all there is. This is the real world. We've barely even started to glimpse it, And so one day, the veil will be removed, and we will see things as they really are, and we'll all be reunited. We've all lost people we loved, and I believe that with all my heart, that one day we're going to get up there, or up, out, wherever, and there's going to be this big aha moment where we go, oh, I get it now. We were always safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it hurts sometimes until then.
And the book of Revelation teaches, in an allegorical sense probably, that we could pretty well believe that when we enter heaven, whatever that is, there will be a time of silence. I think it's an hour. I think it's the term that's used, maybe a half hour. I firmly believe that's just because we're going to be in awe. It's kind of like, wow. So it's a special thing. Now, for those who have children, you have children, do you have children? Okay. Well, help moms and dads and grandparents, help us out a little bit. What are some of the biggest challenges that make you just want to pull your hair out? And then we can talk about how you've navigated them. What are some of those parenting challenges?
I think with me is because of my job. I feel like I spend more time with other people's children than I do with my own son.
Yep.
And it's kind of hard because he asked for nothing. I asked him what he wanted for Christmas. He was like, for you to not work for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's one of the things that hurts the most because I'm trying to help children that are in need, but I think oftentimes my son is neglected,
Yep.
but not intentionally.
Do you sometimes come home at the end of a day and think, I don't have anything left to give? I'm exhausted. Does that happen?
That happens a lot, and,
Does it?
and I feel guilty about it.
Yep.
So I've learned going into this year, though, about self-care.
Yeah.
And for his spring break, I finally took a week off and turned my phone off.
Good for you.
And disabled my email for that week because he deserves my time just as everybody else.
Wow. And she will be leaving immediately after to catch up those emails. No. So, Kelly, you're 2, 1 through the teen years, 1 in the teen years. What are some of those challenges?
Well, for each child, my challenges were different. My first daughter is 29. She's married. They have 2 children with a third on the way. So I'm Nana. We don't use the G word.
I will.
It's a family joke too. So with her, she was a very, with both of my children, let me preface, the fathers were not, I was not with the fathers. We didn't parent in the same home, I should say. So with my first daughter, it was a very unfortunate situation with her father, had drug addiction and alcoholism. She had a lot of anger and resentment growing up because he was absent most of the time. And since I was there in the parent role, I was a young parent as well, I was the one that she took her anger out on. So for me, parenting her with love and dealing with her anger, even at 29, sometimes she has little outbursts. I did take her when she was young to get therapy for it as well. Therapy is a wonderful thing at any age, because I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And there's no shame in asking for help. So that was the challenge with her. But she's grown up now, she's married, she's an LPN. Last year she was diagnosed with MS. So now I have that challenge to deal with because I feel helpless as a parent. I can just be there with her. So our week to the Mayo Clinic last fall turned into a wonderful mother-daughter trip. I took a week off of work and we drove. And on our way back, I took her through Wisconsin, where I grew up, and shared that with her, where I grew up and just that part of my life that I've never really shared with her, and she's 29. With my second daughter, I was an older parent because I'll be 50 next year. And she is now 16, a wonderful student at Highland Tech. I give her a little shout out. She's doing photography and videography for us today, unofficially. And she's an amazing child. She's very by the book, follows the rules, extremely studious. She can be sassy too. I'm not going to sit up here and try to paint the most beautiful picture. But my challenge with her, and her father is in her life, and he's a wonderful person. We're just not together. So co-parenting the second time around has been a blessing and easy. God knew at my age I couldn't go through what I did before. But she's biracial. And so I had to learn hair. I had to learn other cultural things for a young child that I wanted to make sure I could teach her. And I'm so happy that her father and his family is in her life, because hearing it from her white mama versus hearing it from her family that it looks like her is different. It is. It really is different. But it's a challenge. Today's cultural climate has changed over the years, but there is an immense need for more growth. So my challenge for her is making sure she's equipped to be able to be safe and handle herself as she goes out into this world on her own.
So I have a follow-up, but I want to ask Leaf something first. Leaf, as a young person, you look at Mother's Day. What is Mother's Day about to you? What does it mean? Because you're on the younger end of the spectrum we have here and have a little bit different perspective on Mother's Day. One, because you don't have children, but then for other reasons. What's Mother's Day about to you? Is it kind of just another day, or is there something there?
Mother's Day is about celebrating a relationship with a special person in your life that you call your mother. And I fully believe that Mother's Day is a very important day to have that relationship. Mother's Day is very important.
Yeah. And Kelly, just back to you. You mentioned Brooke's diagnosis, MS. We have folks in the room, I'm sure, whose children have had diagnoses of diabetes or MS or other things, autistic diagnoses or mental health challenges. As a parent, it's the most helpless feeling in the world. How are you navigating that?
For the first week, I think I cried every single day because I was so angry. I was brought up in the church. I do have strong faith and beliefs, but I'm just very honest. I don't attend church regularly anymore. When my children were young, I did, but I don't know, just life. But it helped me to kind of bring me back to having more conversations with God, because I was angry and I was so mad. And then, of course, my OCD kicked in and I read everything I could possibly read, and then drove my daughter nuts asking her questions, because she's very independent still at 29 and didn't want me to go with her to her appointments. So at this point, though, it's been a year. Her therapy, her medical team, she's doing great. She's getting ready to have her third child, which was not planned. And she's already making preparations to start her treatment once the baby's given or born. She gives birth. But with MS, there's no timeline. There's no, after 2 years, this is what's going to happen. After 3 years, she could be in a wheelchair tomorrow. She could be in a wheelchair 10 years from now. So I really, it's a struggle, but I stay positive, annoyingly so at times. I don't let her see me sad or frustrated. I am her cheerleader, I am her motivator, I am her tough love kick in the butt when needed. Because as a mother, I realize this is the role God has given me, and I am up for the challenge, and when I feel that I'm struggling, I will have a talk with him, or I will go to somebody that a trusted friend and just pour my heart out if need be. And I don't know if this is good or not, but I don't let her see me down. I want to be the pillar for her that she needs.
As a child, would it help you to see a parent grieve publicly, or would you rather the parent be your strength? Have you ever thought about that? To be a piece of more of a piece of armor there instead of grieving, if you were going through something, or if you've gone through trials or going to college or whatever. How do you, as the closest one to still being a child, what are your thoughts on that?
As someone who's currently going through some medical struggles, my mom has been both my biggest cheerleader, my pillar, and grieving with me. And it's nice to have her grieve with me at times. Especially now that we've rekindled our relationship, it's nice to have her be my armor, but also my pillow.
Yeah. So each of you has a very unique perspective on motherhood. You have a child with a chronic disorder, disease, a physical ailment. You have a child who doesn't look exactly like you. You have, one child?
I have 500.
Oh yeah, you count them all. But you're a working parent and you work hard. Your perspective is you're a child, but you're not a mother. You have children going off to college, coming back from college. You have a husband you're rearing. That's another whole story, but that's, and you've lost a child to death. What are some of the things that are said to you that are well-meaning, but you think, oh, that just was tough? What are some of those questions or things that are said or assumptions that are made that make you go, oh, that kind of was tough? Anything?
I think just the time that I spend at work,
Yeah.
because working in foster care is not an 8 to 5 job. So pretty much when you open your eyes till you close them. It's plenty of nights that I'm at the office with kids that don't have placement. Because when they don't have placement, we have to have people at the office to stay with them. So once again, that's taking me away from my son. But I'm blessed to have a great support system.
Did you catch that? We regularly have social workers who have to spend the night in the office with children because there's nowhere to put them. They've been taken from a dangerous situation, and they have to spend the night with them. So I think you had some of that last night, didn't you, with some colleagues?
Yes, we have a teenager that's been up there for 2 weeks straight. We had 3 teenagers that ran away, and luckily they showed up Friday at DSS. So therefore, we've been at the office all weekend.
Yeah. Which affects your own family. What about your case? I see you have the mic. What have been some of those things that have been, ooh?
Well, I mean, I think just people have expectations of you. Of course, there were things that were helpful and non-helpful when our son died. People mean well, but they don't always say things that are really helpful. Like, no amount of children could have ever replaced the child that we lost. And let me say, I don't know if I stressed, but we did cry. We cried our eyes out. We grieved, but we grieved with a lot of hope. But in reference to your question, the expectations that I put on myself and that other people put on me, those are the kind of things, through their words or their actions, things that they don't understand the reality. I barely understand the reality of 6 kids at one time. And so you can't live life like everybody else lives it. You can't just pick up and go. I mean, we can more now.
Right.
But when they were little, there were a lot of things, and I was a people pleaser, and it was really hard for me to tell people no and have them be frustrated at me or feel like that I was somehow not a good Christian or a good church member because I didn't do stuff, because I mean, quite frankly, we just had a lot of laundry and a lot of dishes. And so the pressure that we allow ourselves as moms to feel from other people, whether or not they intend it, the expectations we have for ourselves, I think that's one of the hardest things for me.
Every parent I know who's lost a child that I know personally has said to me, people expect your grief to have a timeline, and they don't understand that it doesn't. And that's interesting to me. They think that there's something about a year, So we've talked about a lot of things. What I'd like to do in the last few minutes is just ask you, what do you want to add to the conversation? What in kind of a parting shot? Each of you, just take a minute and kind of share anything that you say. We didn't talk about this, but I want to make sure we say this.
I'd like to say that I didn't talk about my unofficial adopted son, who I'm very proud of. I met this young man through the gym that I went to, and I knew he had been going through some stuff, and became friends with him, and kind of like a mentor, a big sis kind of situation at the gym, because I love the gym. And he knew a lot of my friends from when he was younger as well. Anyway, long story short, he was just starting college at that point and going through a very dysfunctional situation in his home. And I said, you know what? Because it got to really bad at one point. I said, I have a spare room in my house. I said, you're welcome to come stay and live with me as long as your family gives you permission, so they can deal with what they're dealing with and you can finish school. I don't expect anything of you except follow the house rules that I would give for my own children. And so he was a young black man, and that had a lot of uncomfortable questions from a lot of people that it was none of their business. He is now a college graduate, has a wonderful career as a photographer and digital creator, content creator, and doing so well on his own, has his own place. And his mother did pass away. We went to her funeral. It's an unfortunate situation, but my whole point of this, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, was that adoption, fostering, very, very important. But also just being there for your community, the people that are around you in your circle. We're programmed nowadays, I think, to be so careful, which is important, don't get me wrong. Stay in your lane, mind your business. If I would have minded my business at the gym, I never would have taken this path with this young man. And he was important in my life as well. He just showed me that opening up my home and my heart was a blessing for me as well as for him. He says Grace is his little sister. And now that he is doing so well, I said, well, put her on the payroll. She knows how to be a digital content creator too.
Yeah.
But so just pay attention to the people around you, whether it's a 5-year-old or an 18-year-old. You can open your heart and you can take them in if need be. If you have that capability, you can mentor them, help them out in ways that if you didn't open your heart, you wouldn't be able to.
That's right. That's a great story. Any parting shot?
I'm going to do a shameless plug for DSS. I would ask that the congregation first pray for all the social workers, because on a daily basis, we don't know what we're walking in on. We've had fatalities. We've had kids that were almost starving to death. I just ask if you have it anywhere in your heart, even if you're not ready to be a full-time foster parent, we do need respite homes. We do provide foster parent classes free of charge. We're trying to meet everyone where they're at, so if you have time during the day to take classes to become foster parents, my staff will be glad to do day classes with you. If you are not ready, if you can just spread the word, there's a huge need in Gaston County. Every 20 seconds, a child is coming into care. And it's getting to the point now that we usually don't have a hard time placing babies or two-year-olds. Now it's getting to the point that it's hard to find placement even for 2-year-olds. So
Every 20 seconds, a child's coming into care. Is that a
Yes.
national number or local number?
That is a national number.
Wow.
There's over 400,000 kids in foster care currently.
Wow.
And that's enough to fill 4 football stadiums.
That's right.
So it's not just, I think it's a community problem. No, we didn't ask for these parents to fall on hard times, but we can also play our part and help these children out. If you're unable to be a foster parent, just add some support to the foster parents. May is Foster Parent Appreciation Month. If you know a foster parent, please go get them a hug, because I'm sure they need it. They're doing a tough job. So, like I said, if you know anyone that's interested, you can reach out to DSS. I am the licensing supervisor. We will be glad to get you signed up and get you started on classes.
Awesome. And we'll have questions and answers about that in the the narthex afterward. What's your parting shot? What you got for us?
As a person who has chosen to be an eventual foster parent, you get a lot of comments and questions from family and people around you that are like, why would you not choose to be a parent when you're able? I am physically able to have children, but I would much prefer to help those children in need and be a foster parent for as long as possible, rather than having children of my own, especially in a world where we already have so many children that need homes. Why would I add to that number when I can take those children in and add to my life?
I'm their pastor, so that's probably where they learn that kind of selflessness. I'm just saying. So
Well, I think that families are very important.
I always wanted to be a wife and a mom, and I love what you guys do. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. We took in, before my youngest was born, we took in my 2 nieces. So at that time, Caleb, Mike could help me remember. How old were you then? 7? I think so. They were 8, 7, and then Kennedy was 4, 3, 2, 1, and 6 months. And that was my biggest experience with fostering. So I think I probably had a little too much on my plate, but my heart is really there. I mean, the need is real. The need is real, and every child deserves to be loved and given a chance. And so I think that is just a beautiful thing.
So Caleb, we just learned a mom thing. We confirmed it. If you ask your mom, when did we do that? And she goes, well, you're 22, he's 1980, right? So now, so we know. We just confirmed it. Let's thank our panelists. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask them to stay seated. And I'm going to ask Patricia to come and lead us in a prayer of blessing. And then after that, we have a very special piece of music from Caleb and his mom. But Patricia's going to come, and you will hear her prayer from her heart as she prays over this group of panelists, but also over our homes. You're on the internet, interweb. You got to be up here. I know she hates that. So you're on the interweb. You're famous.
Oh, gosh.
So that'll be nice. This is her first time ever in a Baptist church. So I told her that we walk into church going, wabba dabba dabba wabba kuba. And I almost had her believing it. So, yeah, pray for us.
Good morning. You don't know me, but I am a walking miracle. I stand before you, looking as normal as any of you, but I assure you I am particularly blessed. I have a superpower that you cannot see.